Thank you very much. I know it's late. I was wondering if the organizers would allow any questions, if there are any for Starhawk and myself. Yes, sir?
How did you go about doing that preparatory work on the ground without an organization? And related to that is, what the aftermath of the success.
Everything is in the book. The book is available over there if somebody wants a signed copy, or you can get it online on Amazon.com. I had to put it on Amazon. I didn't know how else to put it out. So apologies. And the thing is, it's not like there was no organization as in there was no people. No, there were people that were involved. Otherwise, this couldn't have been done. First, I had Youth for Change and Kifaya, or Enough organization, which worked in a particular period. And then this was infiltrated and destroyed. So we built another organization, which was named April 6 Youth Movement. Then this also had some kind of power struggle. Somebody wanted to take it over. So I kind of gave it up. And afterwards, we got the numbers through people who signed a certain declaration for change. So we managed to get about 170,000 signatures for something called the Declaration for Change. Everyone who signed it was against the regime of Hosni Mubarak and wanted to oust him. So based on their geographical areas, we kind of grouped some of these people and contacted them, those who attended. I've been doing these crash courses one after the other, like a tape recorder, telling them about how to do, how to spread the news about the day, January 25th, how to write graffiti, how to spread, without being caught, how to distribute flyers without being caught. There are, of course, structures to do this, like schemes and time limits and like scouting. There are rules to get this without danger. And then how to do on the first day, on the day of the launch. I didn't know it will turn into a revolution. All my hope was that it is going to be a good day that would prepare for the day of revolution that I have been preparing for since 2008, which was either in April or July 2011. That was my own planning. But then because there was the revolution in Tunisia and a few other elements, of course, the timing had to change. Starhawk, is there anything you'd like to say about organizing?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I learned from just hanging out with Ahmed and reading his book is in many ways how similar the organizing was in Egypt to the kinds of organizing we've done here. Not in that, they were facing like a level of repression that was much, much more extreme than we generally were, but in the ideals and the decentralized organizing and the power of that. I think for all of us, one of the big lessons is that when we are organizing, we need to actually imagine success and have a plan for what that's going to look like should we actually succeed. Because that's the most difficult part is, what happens when the old order breaks down and you have that moment of chaos. People, I think, search for something that's going to provide a structure. And the right wing always has structures, and even sort of the right wing of the left wing always, the groups that are hierarchically organized and can move fast and can, like I think about the anti-war organizing, how frustrating it was when our big, loose, decentralized coalition would kind of by consensus pick a date, and then Answer would already have all the permits because they had somebody who had funded them and had gone in and got every, reasonable date for an anti-war permit in protest, for a year in advance. So we need to be thinking about, I believe you can be being decentralized and being leaderless does not mean being disorganized.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have been, after ousting Mubarak, that was not the end of the Egyptian revolution. It's actually happening until now, but at least until we ousted Morsi, we have been organizing huge amounts of sit-ins and protests in millions. Okay? How do you think this was achieved? It was not achieved by hierarchies. It was not achieved by committees that would, get together and, no, we're not going to take these guys, we are going to do it like that. No, it's like there are calls that are given to all the different coalitions, all the different groups that are on the same, let's say, line of what we need to achieve for the same goals. And then whoever comes out with these calls, if they are accepted by everybody, we're all in. If they are not accepted, then they fail by themselves. But that gave us millions of people in protests for months sometimes, during the first year particularly. We almost had a constant presence in Tahrir. Tahrir was hardly open for cars and for normal life most of the first year of the revolution after we ousted Mubarak in January. So it is organizing horizontally does not at all means lack of organization. As long as we have agreed on our major highlights. In the case of Egypt, we have had the principle, we have no leaders. Our principles and our goals are our leaders. So these were the most important things. When I went to Washington, after we ousted Mubarak, with a full plan, threefold plan about the change. The first part was how to get rid of the military so that we can enjoy 2 years of transitional period in order to purge the systems from corruption and educate the people on democracy after all the blackout of the regime of Mubarak and the tyranny, even before him, Sadat and so on. So that was important, and the plan was based on positive conditionality and so on. I don't want to go too far in this, but there were other parts that would have changed the region in the Middle East into a democracy like you would have seen in Eastern Europe after the fall of the Soviet Union. There would be some problems, but it wouldn't be so bad. Things were possible. But then, unfortunately, we all know where the problems come from, and they did happen. Looking the other way, giving permissions to use American weapons and horrific suppression and oppression is not something that I would say is not like that. It's made by decision. It's deliberate because it's against the laws here, Well.
I see another hand, yes.
A lot of us here, we protest various things, but it doesn't necessarily mean we put our bodies on the line. How do you overcome the fear of putting your body on the line for what you believe in under dire consequences?
Okay, my experience. When we used to do the protests, I used to always like to be on the front line facing the soldiers, and I talk to the soldiers. I tell them, don't look at me, pretend I'm not talking to you. And I will start educating them very kindly and humbly. And I will tell them how much we are doing this for them. And when they get the orders to beat us, I would tell them, follow the orders, just don't make it too hard. So they would do when they get the orders to squeeze us, because they would come in 5 rows or 6 rows of shoulder to shoulder, with helmets and full gear shields, and they would get the orders to squeeze us. So I would tell them, okay, I'm pretending to stop you. Pretend that you're pushing me. And they, all these soldiers are pushing me and I'm stopping them because I'm Superman. Okay? So there are ways. You see, the other side is not always consisting of psychopaths. Some of them are. We know that. But many are just regular human beings who want to do a job, who want to go home without much trouble in their conscience because they still have their wives and kids or husbands or, they just want to do their thing without much harm inside. So talk to them. Things can be less hard. And even when you get, I got arrested, I have been treated by sadists when I am arrested, but I also was treated by people who would tell me how much they support me. And they were doing everything within their capacity so that they follow their orders but makes things easier for me. You get both types. Let's stop this black and white thing. We have to understand that we can communicate. We can get them to sympathize. We can always, as I said before, a tyranny is as strong as those who would follow it. When you start breaking this, when you start getting the security forces, the police, this, that, not to be as harsh against you, this is breaking the arms of this tyranny. This would encourage more people to join the struggle because it's safer. And this feeling of being more peaceful, I think, benefits everybody, right?
And I would also just say that when you're in the moment, something kicks in and it sort of throws you into a little different state of consciousness. Possibly it's just denial. But once you sort of commit to do something, it's kind of like, all right, I'm just doing it, and what happens will happen. I've been fortunate in my activism career in that I have put myself on the line a lot, but I haven't been tortured, and I haven't even spent that long a time in jail. But I have been in dangerous situations sometimes where you knew, oh, okay, this really could be life-threatening, and it really is the same inner process that got me in so much trouble when I was younger. In so many situations, something kicks in and says, why not? I want to also just say one more thing, and going back to the question of what do we do after we succeed. I think we should be thinking now, not how do we take down Trump. We can be thinking about that, but honestly, I think it's like the whole thing is playing itself out in such a bizarre, whatever. That maybe what we should be thinking about is how do we use this moment as a grand educational experience to train people for what we're going to need to put in place once Trump and the Republicans fall. There's a thing we always say in activist circles, like people of color shouldn't have to educate white people, and women shouldn't have to educate men, and all that is true, and we shouldn't have to. But I think maybe we can reframe that and say, well, actually at this moment it is a golden opportunity to be educating those people, and maybe we should think about taking it. Because we really don't want those people to go off and educate themselves. They're going to go on the internet and find all kinds of crap. This is a moment where we should take every opportunity to educate everyone and anyone that we can, and to know what we want to educate them into. And we've had those experiences, when we were organizing in Diablo Canyon and Livermore, and the mobilizations and the decentralized organizing we did that actually built into things like the global justice movement, and even Occupy, although Occupy sort of took pieces of it and not other pieces of it, and I think that was part of its challenges. But that's another whole discussion, But training people, how do we make decisions together? How do we get along together in groups? How do we go back to our neighborhoods and take control? How do we grow food? How do we, organize with people who are different from us and really work to be able to see each other and show up in the fullness of who we are and see each other as human beings and respect each other and work together? If we can do that, then we can put ourselves in a position where once Trump and this madness falls, we have something to put into place that's ready to go. We have ideas people can take up, and we have a vision that people can join on to. And, I'm very excited about that.
Well, thank thank you all very much. And if anybody had already bought copies of my book, I would sit over there to sign. And if anybody wishes to check it out, you could find it on Amazon.com or in the public library in San Francisco. I don't know if it's here, but I think if you request it at the public library here, they could get it. It's called "You Are Under Arrest for Masterminding the Egyptian Revolution," which was the charges I received when I got arrested on the day of the revolution, January 25th, was a little different wording, because at that time, of course, it was, "You're under arrest for masterminding the conspiracy to overthrow the regime." That was the actual thing. Thank you very much.
And I'll be over there as well.